It's coming my way. It's all good.
Okay, before we start this morning, I just want to give the last report I got from Barren River Health Department. Logan County has 205 cases. We have 111 people that's recovered and 10 deaths, so that leaves 84 active cases in the county. We definitely need to remember these families that lost these loved ones to this COVID-19, and we definitely need to remember the unrest around the country. And with that being said, Thomas, you do our prayer.
Sure, be glad to. Let's pray. Dear most gracious Heavenly Father, we just gather here today just looking for your wisdom, Lord. We just pray that you would give us the discernment that we need to make decisions that are good for our constituents, that are ethical, and that are pleasing to you, Lord. And we know that we can only accomplish that if your Holy Spirit guides us and your wisdom leads us. And we ask for that this day, Lord. Lord, we are mindful of our community, that there's many that are suffering because of this COVID-19 and this virus, whether it's physical or mental ailments or the inability to conduct business as they normally do or go to work. And Lord, we just lift our community up to you, Lord. Just ask for a healing upon our land. We ask that you be with those who are affected by loved ones who were lost their lives battling the virus, and just pray that you'll comfort them at this time, Lord. And Lord, we again appreciate and thank you so much for the love that you have shown us. Lord, we do take this time to lift up our entire country, our nation to you, Lord. We just pray that we'll turn away from our sins, Lord, and seek you. We ask, Lord, that we just realize that hate cannot control what we do. Hate cannot correct hate. That it takes love and kindness, Lord, and we just pray that we show that to our fellow man. We ask that, Lord, that all of our elected officials, that they'll seek your guidance and ways to conduct the matters in which you have put them in office, Lord. And Lord, they're there because you have placed them there. We just pray that they will seek your will in all that they do. Lord, we thank you again for your love and your watch care. We pray that you'll go before us, Lord, and we'll give you the glory. It's in your holy Son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, let's call the meeting together this morning with the pledge to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first thing we got is June 9th minutes that we need to approve.
Motion to approve the minutes from June 9th.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on the June 9th meeting. Any questions? Okay, not hearing any, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley.
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, then we got the June 15th special call meeting. Minutes.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes as presented for the June the 15th meeting, called meeting.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley.
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, this morning we've got King Simpson here with us, and King, if you can come up, King. He's got, wants to present the Logan County Library budget for 2021.
Sure.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Thank you all for letting me come speak with you this morning. Before I jump into this, I'm sure everybody probably maybe more questions y'all have about that than the budget, about what's going on with the library. So just give you all a quick update. We have got staff back in the building now, and we're going to be rolling a few more in the next few weeks before we open to the public. Right now we're doing curbside service and accepting returns. Of course, we've been doing virtual programming, and we're also handing out programming kits through curbside for all ages. So just in case anybody was wondering what's going on with the library, that's what's going on. So encourage everybody to use those resources in addition to what we've got online. This is obviously a difficult budget year, so I'll explain a little bit more maybe than I normally do as we went through here. Revenues, I guess, is sort of a guessing game. You know, we get some estimates about what they think is going to happen with taxes. Ours looks a little odd, so what we normally do is keep the tax revenues basically the same as the year before, because typically we take the compensating rate. This year, the advisement we received was to budget for a 10% loss. So we've always been a little conservative with our budget as far as what we expect to receive. So we end up taking our actuals, which is always higher than what you see there for fiscal year 2020. So for fiscal year 2021, we actually just put 90% of our actuals from this past year, and that's what our budget was. So it did go down some categories went up a little, some went down a little based on our budgeting. State aid was cut this year, so that's not going to be in the budget anymore. So you see there from state government kind of in the middle of the revenues. That category's been zeroed out. We're also expecting a little bit of a loss in some of our other income, both to potential closures, budget a little low in that, and also interest loss, some of our money that we had invested. As far as general operations, of course, there were some categories for fixed amounts, you know, debt retirement, legal fees, that sort of thing. But most categories that allow some flexibility were cut, and they kind of vary between, I think it was about 2 and 14% decrease in there. And our board has mentioned that they plan to revisit this after taxes come in and we see how much of an impact that really had. Some of that may be increased. Of course, we are a service organization, so as you would expect, our largest line item is our salaries for our staff. It's a huge part of what we do. Is the people are more important than the building and the collection and everything else. So that did decrease some. We're not going to be doing a cost of living adjustment this year as we typically would. And we're expecting a small decrease in the amount we spend on staffing altogether, and part of that's going to be due to restrictions on the amount of staff that can be in the building, that sort of thing. So far, you know, staff have really just appreciated what the library's done. Nobody's missed a paycheck. Nobody had to be laid off. We were able to transition everybody from work from home until it was safe to come back into the building. So that's going well. Any questions, I'll be glad to address it.
Okay, we got any questions for King this morning?
Appreciate you making the adjustments that are needed, keep everything in line without putting tax breaks on anybody else. So we appreciate that.
We hope it's fairly accurate, and we'll find out in a few months how well we do.
Okay, we need to acknowledge receipt of this budget.
So moved. Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
Appreciate everything, King. Y'all adjusting like Thomas said. And I know it's been challenging for a library during COVID-19.
When you expect to take stuff in and send it right back out, it's difficult decisions to make. Yeah.
Okay, not hearing any more comments. Y'all ready to vote? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, thank you,
Thank
King.
you all very much for what you did.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the bill list. Okay, we got a motion to pay the bills. We have a second. Okay, is there any question? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, road work request, Tyler, and I hope that every one of you take the time to look at this report every month that is generated.
right here.
But it's still.
Yeah, it's still all there. It just, sometimes it kicks that extra blank page.
District 1, continued maintenance. Appreciate everything, Paul. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
District 3, continue maintenance. Thanks for all the mowing and all the work y'all been doing through the week. Appreciate it.
District 4, continue maintenance.
That's easy.
District 5, same thing, everything looks good, fast.
District 6, as y'all recall, I made a request for a road hearing on extending the road. Paul went and looked at it, and he and I went and met with the landowners and told them what they needed to do. There are some things that they need to do, so they're going to be working on that and getting the improvements made. Paul kind of laid out to them, so maybe in the near future they'll have that done. And the gentleman who actually owns the road is working on the deed now to get that to them. So that part will be done.
Okay, we'll have to do the road hearing before we worry about the deed, but,
Again, that's,
yeah,
we'll return.
okay.
But other than that, continue maintenance, everything looks good.
Okay, y'all heard the road work request. Do we have any questions, concerns, or do we want to accept the road work?
Oh, down at Riverview, when you turn in down off of 431, I forgot, don't mow that back down there. Remember? On the right as you're going in. Off of 431.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's wrong for a while, see what happened. You know what happened if you mow it.
I think it's already mowed a couple of times.
Huh?
I'll check it out and see. I'll talk to the guys tomorrow.
Okay.
Did you say it didn't get mowed, or you don't want it mowed?
I'd rather it did mow it, but we'll wash it away if we mow it. We've got some gray standing there, ain't standing.
What road's it on?
Riverview.
Riverview? Okay.
You'd be all right. I'm standing there a little bit.
Okay, y'all heard the road work request. Have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second on the road work request. Is there any other questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, elected official, Phil, you can.
Morning, Court.
Morning.
I would put this in your folder, but it changes from day to day, so I'll have to give it to you like this.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Glad to be able to report today that nobody in our jail has any signs and symptoms of COVID-19 or any flu-like symptoms of any kind. Temperatures are taken daily and screened everyone in the jail, to include inmates and staff. Today's number is 117 with 40 county, 77 state. Any questions?
117, same thing we had 2 weeks ago, isn't it?
It's been running about steady. A few come in, few get out.
That's what I mean, look like, it seemed like it was like 117 2 weeks ago. That's unusual that it stayed the same.
Well, they're talking about bringing 20 to 25 in at a time, so that's probably going to change at some
Be
point.
okay if you let 25 out.
And it's going to be overwhelming, huge challenge for the jail to accept that many folks.
Who's bringing 25? Is that the state?
You know, I've been reached out to different agencies that they're going to do, you know, drug task force may be bringing that many in at a time. Just keep in mind, it takes about an hour to process one. And you're looking at 20 to 25 hours. And hopefully COVID-19 doesn't get brought in. That would just be one. That's not counting all the other people being brought in. So that's something we're not looking forward to. Any other questions? All right. I guess I'll be back up here in a little bit.
Okay. Okay, Scotty, you got anything?
Great, today on the core of that water heater. The judge and I have been working on the water heater at our office. It's going out and almost dead. It's been in there since the county board school system has been there, so it's been there a long time. And I've been trying to get bids. Hadn't been able to get a hold of anybody but one person that would even give me a bid. And of course, it was over the $1,000 or $1,200 to put it in. Of course, it's in the middle of the room. So it's got a drain issue. So I guess they're going to pull a permit and do some extra work is why it's that high. So I just want to see what the court might want me to do. I know I talked to Thomas, and we had talked about maybe doing one of those tankless. I talked with Mr. Kennedy this morning, Thomas, and he said it would be probably 2 to 3 times more than that to do something like that. So, and he said if you went back to a smaller water heater, Judge, I asked him about that also. He said you'd have to put in 110 wiring. That's going to cost you more because you've got to get a licensed electrician in there. So he said you're really better off just to go with what it had in there and just have to pay that. So I've done all my diligence. Just thought I'd see what if the court had any, or Judge, if you had any different ideas. But I just think we need some hot water in there for people to wash their hands and stuff. I think we're better off just to go on. I've got one bid, and then I've got called at least 3 others, and I've got another one that I got a hold to. He did a no bid, so that's all I know to do.
Just one.
Doug Kennedy gave me a bid. Yeah, it is.
Need warm water to wash, you know, man, it's best to wash your hands with warm water, so.
If the court's okay with it, you know, vote on it, I'll get that done. I would think that would be the best option that we have, but I've exhausted all resources at this time.
And again, I don't complicate things because I'm perfectly fine just replacing what it is. But the difference between the tankless and the regular one's probably no more than $1,000. Probably less than that. You don't need a big one. A smaller one. You'll see it in energy savings over time. You're not going to see it, in one day, 1 year, but over time. Is it gas that you have in there?
No, it's electric. It's a 220 electric, and Doug told me that if I went back to a 20 gallon, I'd have to go to a 110, and then you have to do some rewiring. He said you're going to be in more cost there, inspections and stuff.
I would go to
In an awful situation, there's no sense heating 30 and 40 gallons of water.
It's a 30. And that's the smallest one you get in the 220, he said.
Keeping 30 gallons of water hot all the time for hand wash.
Well, I don't care which one.
$1,000, I'd be looking the tankless, Because it doesn't heat water much to heat.
I will get him to give me a bid, and I'll try to get somebody else to give me a bid. The problem is the drain. Nobody wants to bid on it because it doesn't have a drain in it now.
It doesn't have the outside.
And so they're going to have to do a lot of extra work, whoever does it, to make it up to code for the pass. And so, my fear is it's right there in the middle of the records room. If that thing being so old, if it busts and water goes everywhere in the middle of the night, that's my fear of getting on the record. Then we got a big problem.
That's a good thing about with the tank. well, if that does happen, you don't have 30 gallons of water going anywhere. It's got an automatic shut off. It senses that the water.
And it still has to have a pop-off valve, of course. It still has to meet codes with the pop-off valve. I
Your plumbing issue will be the same,
It's gonna
tankless
be
or...
exactly the same.
So-
Basically, this was doing up online, $100, and then, one, he said that they need most of their office situations about 150. I would say, under $500, and that over the Renai, which is the name brand. You know, you can get the ones that go under the cabinets that are typically used for, dual, like it is a men's and women's bathroom situation, where you have about 3 hand washings in each one of them. They're under $500, so.
I'll try to get something for next board meeting then.
Well, you need, can we make that?
Get something, and we're not just telling you.
Yeah, let's give him authority to do something. I mean, get him like, they need hot water.
Joe, can we do that? Can we give them, the judge authority to accept the bids up to $1 amount so they can get this hot water heater replaced?
Well, I mean,
We've done it in the past.
We have the $5,000, thing there, but I mean, just over 1,000, we needed multiple bids, and so I'm having trouble getting multiple bids. And I want to see what y'all wanted to do, so.
You can't get more than one bid, I say, except the one that turns in, yeah.
Okay.
Have you gotten the one yet?
I'm sorry.
Have you gotten one bid yet?
Yes.
I think you can accept anything.
It's a 30 gallon
But
over
now
there.
the one
It's
that
on a
I
30
have,
gallon, we're asking you to use the tankless.
How much was this bid?
1,200.
How much?
1,200 for the 30 gallon.
Look, we like the old bid do it.
They make those little old tankless electric type.
Okay.
They-
I'm good either way. I just,
I mean, what's a good number?
Something they're plumbing away that we don't know, but we shouldn't have to come back to court and get that approved. Just what you and the judge work that out with Kennedy
okay.
and ask them, strongly advise them that we'd like to go to a tankless, so we're not keeping 30 gallons of water heated 24/7.
Okay.
To have to wash our hands, so we don't care if it's $500 more for 30 gallons of the tankless. We'll see that energy savings over the law. It's just the right thing.
But you got up to $5,000?
Well, I mean, that's just the county policy now.
Yeah, well, y'all take care, I
So
mean,
what is y'all's,
Take care of it.
y'all put a dollar amount on it then as a court, so me and judge can work on it.
Well, I don't know if that's necessary, Scotty. What we gotta have, we got under 1,000, we can approve it. Over 1,000, we gotta have 2 quotes, up to 5,000.
Problem is, I'm having trouble getting anybody to do a quote. Nobody wants to touch it.
And you call it Hillary. I had that situation once before down at the jail. Just couldn't get nobody to show up and get the quote. They call it Hillary. We got work next to that. Stuart Rich, that's in jail. We just called him.
All right, thank y'all.
well, fix it.
Okay, Steve, are you finished?
No, sir, I don't have
Okay. Mary's not here with us today, so, department heads. Howell, you got anything?
No, sir.
Okay, Nathan?
Welcome back, Nathan.
It's good to be back. Good morning. Just wanted to update the court and ask for a couple of things here. We did have a tire day last month. We took in 1,833 tires. That's the most we've taken in since I've been doing this. So glad to get those tires out of there. And wanted to make mention of a couple of things that are in your folders. We have a request for bids that we're wanting to put out in the newspaper. We have a dump cleanup that we got a grant for. You might remember back several months ago that was approved, and we wanted to go ahead and put that out now that it's in the budget coming up, and to get the ball rolling on that to get that dump cleaned up. It's out at Baldwin Circle, just north, about a mile north of Russellville, and it's on a little hillside, a little dump out there, and we're going to get some bids for that. And to make that process happen, we're going to put it in the newspaper hopefully Friday, and then open them at the next court meeting in 3 weeks is the plan. So Y'all have any questions? See what we can do.
Okay, we'll go ahead and advertise that and go ahead and put it out then, okay?
Does that need to be
You don't need
approved?
to vote on it?
I guess might well have a motion on it, go ahead and put it out.
I was reading over this here, but this over for to bid on a dump site cleanup, you need an motion to do that?
Yes,
Put
sir.
that for bid. So I'll put that in form of a motion that he can send out for bids for dump site cleanup on the
Yep. Baldwin Circle. And we have the money for, it's a 25% match, but we do have the grant money for that already with us.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion and second, to go ahead and put, the dump cleanup out. Questions?
I'm not familiar where that road is. Thomas, that's your district, Baldwin Circle?
No, that's Tyler's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's out Kate's Bypass in Newtown.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know where you're at.
Yeah,
Okay.
we talked about this a few months ago about
Yes, sir.
applying for the grant.
And they got it to us. So now just getting around to cleaning it.
It was wet and rainy and mud everywhere. We decided we better wait till it kind of dried up a little bit before we put it out. Okay, if there's no other question, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley. Yes. Wright.
Yes.
Harper. Kyle.
Yes.
Bolden.
Yes.
Chick.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
Well, you're getting help on those cars on the Beacon Road, South Beacon.
I've worked on that. I think I got a few left, but I'm gonna probably need some inmate help with that, I think. Some of those are really hard to get. I think I got about all the ones I could get out there, yeah, so. But I'm hoping, I hadn't forgotten about them. I'm gonna get some work on those, so.
They won't go on,
Yeah, yes, sir. The other thing I had for us today was the recycling grant. I applied for another one for this fiscal year, and it concerned ad money, just so we could advertise the center. I put up sometimes on the internet, on Facebook, that we have tried to educate people on what they can and can't bring to the recycling center, and about the Scott Waste program and other things, just trying to educate people in the newspaper and on the radio. And they gave us all the money we asked for, which amounted to $3,998.50. And so we just need the approval for the judge to sign that so that we can receive that.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and second. Is there any question? Fortunately, we're able to apply for these grants every year, and so if there's no other questions, let's have roll call.
Davenport.
Yes.
Crossley. Wright.
Yes.
Harper.
Yes.
Kyle.
Yes.
Bolden.
Yes.
Chick.
Yes.
With nothing else, that's all I had. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, I did have one thing. I need permission from the court to put out bids on 2 tandem dump trucks with bed, 14-foot beds. That we put it in the budget. As soon as, we'll put them out as soon as
It's in the budget, I think. We
Yeah.
put a line item for that in there.
we want to get a jump on it because there may be some built-in savings on the COVID-19 type stuff. The dealerships are telling me there's some savings if we go ahead and do it the first part of the year. Usually we take our time on it, and do it later, but we're probably going to jump on it in July. And, so I just need permission to get those put out for bid. 2 tandem dump trucks.
Thank you.
Just add one to the fleet.
We got 2 swore out, our 2 main tandems that we use all the time. We're going to replace those. They're 05s. Both
We
of them
bought a
got
little
well.
time with them, didn't we?
Yeah, we've been round and round with them. They got the cat engines, discontinued engines in them, and they're about shot, so.
Well, be careful with that, we'll be wanting to sell them.
Well, yeah, they're good when we won't sell them.
Good, we will sell.
They're good to go.
Why don't I put that in form of motion to allow Paul to put out bids for 2 tandems with 14-foot beds. Is that correct?
Well, reason why I'm wanting to kind of put that in there, because you actually buy the bed separate, but I don't want to bid this as a package, so we won't have to get separate bids from the bed company, as a unit. Let the dealership take care of that.
Dealership do all the headaches of making sure.
I
they're
guess
compatible.
two tandems with beds. I think they're 14 foot, aren't they? I can't remember.
I think so. I think they're 14 foot.
Okay, we got,
Okay, Janice, that's clear as mud, right?
Yep.
All right. That's my motion.
okay, we're gonna leave 14-foot beds in there.
Well,
With beds.
with beds, just put with beds.
Gotcha.
You okay with that, Jason? I'm pretty sure they're 14 foot though.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. A question. Okay, let's go ahead and have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, that's all the department heads here today. Treasurer report, man.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I only have two things for you today. You have a list of budget transfers in your folders that we need to get approved.
Motion to approve budget transfers as presented.
Okay, got a motion to approve the budget transfers. Do we have a second? Okay, second by Robert Earl. Is there any questions now? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes.
And today we need to transfer $50,000 from the occupational net profits tax fund to the jail fund.
Make a motion.
Okay, got a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Okay. Any questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes.
That's all I have for you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, judges' announcements for the day. Right, tentatively, Kentucky County Judge and Kentucky County Magistrates and Commissioners Joint Conference has been rescheduled for September the 29th through October the 1st. Now that's as of right now. That could still be canceled. We received a thank you card from United Way for the help to Logan County organizations in the fight against COVID. That donation we made to United Way. There's a thank you letter in your packet from Logan Industrial Authority for funding for fiscal year 2019 and 2020. There will be a common ground meeting. Now, this is what we're talking about this contractor license and enforcement. There'll be a common ground meeting July the 8th at 8:30 at the lead office. It has to be called by an outside organization, and requesting that most of you come. All the cities will be invited and their city councilmen, and it's at 8:30 on July the 8th. Okay, and then the last court meeting, I put some drawings out that REB Architect did on a proposed animal shelter, and he wanted feedback on it. If there's any feedback, you need to contact me after court, and we need to send something to him on the feedback on those proposed animal shelters. Anything that I've missed? Okay, not seeing anybody jump, we'll move on then to citizen participation, as we don't have anybody here this morning, and likewise, but we hope everybody's doing well. Okay, old business this morning, discuss adding the current policy on inmate admission screening for injury or illness at the jail. Okay.
Everybody's got a copy of the KCO recommendations plus the addition to the policy.
Steve, you've seen a copy of the policy?
No, sir. I never received one. I read in the newspaper, I got one, but I never received
So on breathalyzer, just to make sure I understand, breathalyzer intoxicating because it's .08?
No, 0.28.
That,
Point
No,
two.
that's legally drawn, legally drawn.
It's legally intoxicating.
.08.
You know,
.08.
Yeah.
.08, so we're saying if they are .28, which is way above
Yes.
intoxication.
Right.
Yes, by KRS, we're to immediately take them to the hospital to get that. So that's an all.
Okay. So I guess on the intoxication thing, I just want to understand, what do we, I guess I'm asking both departments here, because y'all have to work together. Someone is intoxicated and refuses, to take a breathalyzer. What do you do then? Somebody comes to you've arrested somebody who's obviously incapacitated, drunk, and we know when we're intoxicated, we don't make good decisions anyway, and we just be bullheaded and say, okay, I'm not going to take a breathalyzer test.
On the law enforcement side, they have the right to refuse. So when we have to do a implied consent law thing and do observation for 20 minutes prior to even giving our test. So when we get to that point and they say, I'm not going to take your test, we mark them as refusal of breath. We have a second option asking them if they would take a blood test. That's an option. We don't have to do that. Once they make the first refusal on the original request, then we take them to jail.
Okay, so what does Phil do now? They're obviously intoxicated. They refuse to take the test. I understand your part. That makes total sense to me. I understand. But where does that leave Phil when you bring an intoxicated person? Where does it leave Mr. Gregory when you bring an intoxicated person and he has no idea how am I supposed to know how intoxicated you are? What does he do or what do you do?
We do the same PBT test. We ask them a series of questions if they've had drugs along with the alcohol, and then that goes back into their, we assess them and then have the nurse look at them. And then if they're still above that .28 or .3 at the time, we deny them and have to take them back to the hospital to be treated.
I guess when they deny taking or refuse taking a breathalyzer test with you, what do you do?
Say that again, Phil. I can't understand.
If
If they do what you take them, you don't take them, what was you telling them?
If they come in, they still blow a 2.8 in this policy, then we refuse them and then we ask them a series of questions, whether there's drugs involved with that 2.8 or, just a series of questions to try to assess the individual to whether he should be lodged or not. And if not, then they have to take them back to the hospital. The hospital is better equipped to monitor someone who is on alcohol to the point of 2.8 plus drugs. We're not equipped to have someone come in our jail and put them in a cell and then crash and die.
I guess my question is, what do you do when that person refuses to take your breathalyzer? So you have no benchmark to say, well, they blew a .8, they blew a .1.2, they blew whatever. If they refuse the sheriff's department, I'm assuming they can refuse you as well.
Again, we will refuse intake until they receive proper medical attention.
In other words, the longer they can, if I was drunk, then I'd probably refuse it. The longer they can refuse it, the sober they get then.
And that's a good point. You know, it can be monitored whether their blood alcohol level is coming down or going up. If they've drank a fifth before they come in, it's obviously going to be going up. If they haven't drank anything in an hour or so, it's probably going to be going down. And then we can retest them. And then if they below the 2.8, then we can take them in as long as they can stand up and walk and there's no drugs involved with that test. I mean, we have to rely on them to a point to tell us some truth, and that their behavior will dictate that as well.
So you'll still take them possibly if they refuse to take a breathalyzer. If you've done your assessment, they're just being difficult and, hey, he's okay, you will still take it.
Right. As long as they, most likely, if they can stand up and walk and can speak to us, and you know, they're going to say, well, they're faking it. Well, we don't know. We don't know the medical history of this individual. I've got a citation here. Where's Joe at? Would this citation be public record?
No, new is.
Any citation?
Well, I mean, it would be across the street.
I'm sorry?
It would be across the street in the court file, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you an example. Here's a citation that was issued, and the individual stated that they were suffering from severe head trauma. Wouldn't take the PBT, wasn't cooperating. I have a statement here from our healthcare provider, who is a certified correctional health professional. Says this individual should have been denied. And we denied it. So we have those folks to back us up on our decisions. County Attorney Ross, can I share this with the court?
I mean, sure, you
Okay.
You can give them a copy of it if you want.
Again,
But I was just trying to figure out what happens when somebody just denies. If we're saying that, you know, that their blood alcohol breathalyzer results is 2.8 or lower, they can be admitted. But my question is, what if they don't take it?
What I heard them say previously would be to look at all of those other factors, and your people are trained in noticing that as well, correct?
right,
That's all I was wanting to know.
right.
Most likely you would, unless they appeared that they were at that threshold.
Right.
Yeah.
So can I pass this out as an
To
example?
figure out, well, all you gotta do is we can
This-
take the breathalyzer.
I can't hear talking face to face and through a mask. It's very difficult for me. Yeah, that sign language works good.
Can't do that.
So if they refuse medical treatment at the hospital, then what?
That's what I was wondering.
I asked that question the other day, and I think Joe told me it's automatic 1 year without driver's license.
No, I'm talking about intake into jail. If the hospital, if the arrestee refuses to be treated at the hospital, what are we supposed to do? Is the jail going to
Oh,
still
okay.
accept it?
Okay, I misunderstood what you were saying, see?
Because that's, you know,
Let me give
very
you-
likely to happen.
Let me give you another example just this weekend. We took one to the local hospital. Well, the arresting agency did. No, actually, we denied them. They took them to the hospital. They cleared them.
They want,
They cleared them.
The hospital cleared.
The hospital cleared them.
oh, they cleared it. Okay.
Right. So this went on, came back, and the condition was the same. We took him to the medical center, and he's still in the hospital today. So we have an obligation to make sure that they get proper medical treatment.
Whoa, I'm lost. You mean you took them to the hospital here?
I didn't. The arresting agency did, and they sent them, we
And they
refused them
cleared- And they cleared it. And
Right.
then you took them to Bowling Green, or somebody did, right?
because the condition was the same, and it was serious condition. We took them to the hospital and medical center, and they're still there today. Needed medical attention.
Okay. But of course, once the hospital here cleared them though, I guess if something happened to them in jail, you could clear.
We have the right to refuse as many times as necessary to make sure that
But if you
individual.
had, once they cleared them, you could take them back. And if you did, something happened, that clears you though, don't it?
Not necessarily. It should. I agree with you that it should, but it's not necessarily. If the person's condition is the same or worsening, we send them on to the medical center, and they're there today, still. And we're having to send the guard up there with them to sit with them at the medical center. So it's all about who takes them to the hospital. That's what this rub is all about.
You mean the jail, I'm learning that too.
Yeah.
The jail, I thought if there's a hospital, the sheriff's department would be the one that have to deputy with it.
Should be, or the arresting agency, not necessarily the sheriff's department. It could be any arresting agency.
Okay. Well, when I said the sheriff, if he's the one that brought me in, that's
Right. Right. So, we're doing the very best we can to work with the agencies, but obviously, I understand the arresting agencies don't want to take them to the hospital. I get that. Nobody does. But it's for the well-being of the person being arrested or trying to be jailed that they receive the proper medical treatment so they don't die in the jail. And we're not a hospital.
I think one of the, I guess, complaints would be, like you said earlier, if it takes an hour to book somebody in. So if you go through, if you get halfway through the process and the arrestee or whatever you call gets denied, they have to take them to the hospital, go through all that, and then come back. It could be 2 hours situation for 2 or 3.
Could be.
Keeps an officer off the street for long.
Well,
That's a little like for something like Woods, where I say, Alan, that's somebody, he goes through the whole process. He's got an 8-hour shift and he's tied up with one person for 3 or 4 hours.
I don't know who, that's their responsibility. It's not the jail's responsibility. I'll give you an example you just mentioned. There was an incident where there was a standoff in Auburn. Y'all remember that? I think a shot was fired at the arresting officers. Officers on the scene. He was cleared. Brought him to jail. Was there less than probably 45 minutes and started to go south. We didn't even get him booked in. We called the ambulance, sent him back to the hospital, and then they sent him to the medical center, and he died. That's what I'm trying to avoid happening in our jail.
Oh, I completely agree with that. There is some instances, but like this woman right here, whatever happened to her?
She's still pending in court, so we don't. case isn't resolved.
I got you. So she just got a ticket.
For DUI.
Citation for DUI.
So this person here you didn't take?
I think she was released back on the street.
Because she refused medical treatment at the hospital. So therefore, as he's said, he's not going to accept people that refuse Logan Memorial releases.
Who releases them? Can you?
Well, then we have to call a judge. That's the question. If they go to the hospital and the hospital clears them, I understand, the concern of the jail. We're not protesting that. We take them to the hospital. We're going to take them to the hospital before we even take them to the jail. And we've been doing that the majority of the time, just to try to speed the process up. The issue is, you get to the hospital, or they tell you blatantly right out of the gate, they've already refused, since this was brought up, she refused 5 different tests. She said, I'm not taking anybody's test. She was very compliant. She was very understanding. She was very coherent, but she refused to take the test. But yet we're judging based on whether they take a test or not. Observation is one of the things that we have to do. The jail officer, should observe them as well. But even though, there's still that question of the person refuses Logan Memorial. Even if they take the test at Logan Memorial clearance, there's still an issue of whether the jail will take them or not.
But this seems to be a perfect example, regardless of, this person, we'll just go because I wasn't there, we were going by this police officer's report, she was obviously intoxicated.
Sure.
To what degree, we don't know, because she refused all that. Took her to jail denied her because she had been medically cleared. Did y'all take her to Logan Memorial or not? She denies seeking medical treatment. Okay, so now we're at standoff. You've got an intoxicated lady, or whatever, I don't know if the lady or not, doesn't matter. You got an intoxicated person that was doing 96 miles an hour on sounds like 68, 80 maybe, but anyhow, doing 96 miles per hour over. The jail won't take her, so now what happens?
Well, that's the big question. The only option that we've been given.
No, I'm asking, I'm going to say that this case for ID, there's no deviate from what should have been.
Right.
Now what happened to this person?
We don't know. We call a judge, and the judge just tells us.
Something had to happen because this.
Right, the judge released her on the court date.
So you call a judge, hold on, Mr. Counsel, you had to call a judge, local judge here?
Yes.
Okay, and call the district judge, and the district judge says, prior to taking away the
I guess give her a court date. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you gotta know something.
Well, that was the answer we were given.
That don't make sense. So we'll
Just let her out. Just open the door, unhandcuffed her.
Give her a court date and let her.
Said, see you later.
Yes.
So we got an intoxicated lady, and we're worried about her medical situation, and we're just gonna let her walk the street? Don't sound like we're really concerned about her well-being, much less the well-being of the general public.
I agree.
I don't think it's wise to let somebody who's highly intoxicated back out on the street. That doesn't seem smart.
I agree.
What's good for our constituents. Now, I'm gonna bother 2 people driving on the road. I mean, I don't want my daughter. That's what I expect the police force to do, is to stop people who are drinking and driving and arrest them. We're gonna have to come up with an agreeable solution that y'all two can come up with, because I don't want a drunk person let back out on the street.
I totally
It doesn't
agree.
seem smart.
It's not.
At all.
It's not.
Well, then what are we gonna do about it? And again, I don't need no other scenarios. I want this scenario that was presented to me today. I want this one ratified. What are we gonna do? We can't just be in a pissing match about, I'm not gonna take them because they did or did not do this. I do not want to see an intoxicated person let back out on the street. That is not smart.
We, as elected officials, are to come up with some agreeable solution that we do not let intoxicated people back out on the street. Now, I'm happy to let them back out on the street the next morning. I mean, I'm all for it. I love these numbers that I see in the Logan County Jail. You know, it's amazing what COVID-19 has done for us, but it seems ridiculous that we're not going to incarcerate people who are obviously intoxicated.
Let me ask
We
you.
got to do something about that.
Steve, I agree 100%. But Steve, the judge, he's got all the power. Why can't the judge then send him back to the jail? And if he overrules, I mean, if the judge said send him back to jail, if something happened to him then, Phil wouldn't be responsible then. If the judge, it looked to me like if the judge put him in, we'd still have him in jail.
I agree, and that's a question for the
I ain't called the
judge.
judge on every single case.
Yeah, the judge don't need every single case, so.
But you understand what I'm saying? If the judge said,
But we can't
send him to jail, then at least him
Right.
be responsibility.
Yeah, the thing about this, this particular case that you're talking about, I don't know if they were ever taken to the hospital.
Well, I agree with you because it says in the citation, they refused medical treatment. So even if they have taken it, I don't know at what point they did or did not.
Well, you need to go through the
They
motion.
refused it.
You need to go through the motion, take them to the hospital, and let them refuse the medical treatment by a licensed physician, not someone who may not have any medical training.
Would there be a paper trail at the hospital?
Yes.
They take them out there?
Yes,
Not that I'm aware of.
well, there is.
I mean, if they refuse to get out of the car, then what are you supposed to do?
So, I mean, they just walk in and say, I
Well, the ER would have documentation to that effect.
but if
I think y'all do need to sit down.
Yeah, I don't think fiscal court can fix this problem totally. I mean, we're all on the same team. It's time to get in the team huddle. Resting agencies, Phil, I'm not saying it's Phil's fault. It's not the resting agency's fault, but there's going to have to be some sort of, something worked out to where we can get people that are breaking the law off the street the time they need to be off the street to protect our constituents.
In this particular case, we were willing to accept the individual, no questions about it. We didn't want to, excuse me, we didn't want someone DUI cut loose out there driving. We were willing to accept that individual after they went to the Logan Memorial Hospital and was cleared by a licensed physician. We were willing to accept that person.
But we are going to have to deal with the part that we're going to have to deal with. I agree with that. And I think it's a good policy. You are not a healthcare provider. You do not, you're not qualified no more than me to say, yeah, you're good, get in there, you're fine. We don't understand that. But we do have to come up with a what-if scenario. What are we going to do when this scenario, perfect example, when they say, I am not seeking any medical treatment, you're not drawing blood from me, you're not this, you're not that. The answer cannot be, well, okay, we're going to call a judge and let the judge just let him go on the streets. I mean, that is not public service.
There are.
In service to our public by doing that. The community will be upset with both of y'all when they find out that an intoxicated lady.
We're not refusing them to take him to jail. We're trying to take him to jail. So the sheriff's office is not refusing to do anything. We take him to jail. They refuse it.
That is not.
The question is, if they do not take a test at the hospital, what are we to do? That's the whole question we have.
Y'all work that out. I mean, we need to come to an agreeable solution. There's nothing in these KRSs and this CACO recommendation that addresses that. We,
But there is.
the Logan County, we need to.
There is KRSs that address that. There are KRSs and KARs that address that issue.
So what do we do with that person?
They take them to the hospital and get them cleared. And if they
But
don't,
they refuse. We're dealing with this case right here, and they refuse. So
I don't even know if that person was even taken to the hospital.
But it says right here at the very bottom, she repeatedly, they repeatedly.
It has to be by a licensed physician.
So the individual can't refuse a test?
when you arrest someone, they're in your custody and your care and their well-being is your concern.
Then why do they require us to read the Miranda warnings, and why do they require us to read
Now, that's-
the big speech for a breathalyzer? Because they have a choice to refuse the test. That's why we're required by KRS to do that.
I think maybe between Joe's office and Austin's office, y'all can sit down and figure out what the situation is. I mean, are we going to take them to the Logan Memorial and drive up underneath the canopy of the emergency room and say, okay, get out? And they say, no, I'm not getting out, I'm not going to the hospital. At what point will satisfy the jail that they have officially refused medical treatment? At what point?
That's the
all
question.
we agree upon. And then that's what we'll do, as long as we all agree upon it.
It would all be documentation, so if they're not willing to let the hospital give them something, his person should have a body cam. And so that would be evidence. I know they wouldn't be able to watch it at the moment, but maybe if they refuse to even go in the hospital, the sheriff's department is required to turn over that body cam to the jail so that they can be covered and verify that that's actually happening.
If you deal with a person, you know, it's not like you're going to get them okay to sign a piece of paper. They're not going to do it. And likewise, I couldn't imagine any hospital, no matter which one it is going to sign a form saying they refused treatment when they didn't treat. I just don't think that'll happen. Even the ambulance, they're not here, but the ambulance services, if you refuse treatment, they make you sign a piece of paper. Most people will sign it. But I couldn't imagine this situation, this person signing that. So your bill's left again with nothing. No paper, no doctor's excuse, no nothing. So the agreeable solution is y'all drive out to the Logan Memorial and open the door and say, please go in and let's get you medical care. Again, handling with love and kindness and hey, this is for your benefit. We just want to make sure you're okay. And if they still refuse, I mean, if that's what y'all are agreeing upon today, then let that be.
Well, that's the way it is. There's no disagreement there. We're not sure, based on what he said, is, you know, when they refuse treatment at the hospital, if we drive them out there and do all that, you know, what are we supposed to do if he still refuses them? The Attorney General, you know, has made some rulings that, you know, drugs and alcohol is not necessarily a reason to refuse, because honestly, that's probably why they're there. But hey, we're going to do that part. My question is, before we get to the hospital, we get to the hospital and they refuse and we drive out there, then what are we supposed to do? That's the only question I have. We're complying with everything else.
So I guess, Bill, you're saying if he goes out there with this individual right here, and they gone out to the hospital and said, please get out, let's get you medically checked, and they say, no, not doing it, then that's, I guess, as much as you can ask for the sheriff's department to bring that individual back to you to be under your care and control at that point.
I would just say that KACO has provided the Kentucky jail model policies and procedures and has listed all the KRSs and KARs with that. I think that pretty much says it all. There's
Well, I understand, but, you know, again, we're just trying to address, you know, what we're doing with this highly intoxicated person, which I think we would all agree, letting that person back on the street is not.
And I will say we did that Sunday or Saturday.
What's that?
We did take one in that went to this hospital, got medically cleared, and the condition was the same or worse when it came back, and we ended up having to take them to the emergency, to medical center emergency room, and they're still there today. So that's a concern of mine, is getting them cleared properly.
So there needs to be a conversation to have with Logan Memorial Administration, possibly, or?
Be good.
On this particular situation, if they would have went and been cleared, you would have taken it.
Yes.
If they would have went and refused, and then they brought back, and the deputy said, I got them to the door, they refused, wouldn't talk to nobody, wouldn't do nothing, now I'm back here.
If we got documentation to that, we probably would have taken them and monitored the situation and then sent them to another hospital like we did this over the weekend.
So But it sounds like the only documentation you're gonna have is body cam video, because I don't see any hospital.
The ER has documentation if they see them,
But
and they can say they refused.
So could the ER have
I
some,
can't speak for the hospital, but I
Yeah.
just don't know that they're gonna provide you documentation for somebody that they never saw or received.
And when you
the
pull up
deputy
on
go
the,
in and say, I've got somebody out here that I brought for medical attention, they're refusing it, can I get some type of, something signed by the hospital that said I brought them out here?
they usually send that documentation back with that person.
Even if they stay in the car and refuse.
Yes. We get documentation back from the hospital,
Even if they refuse treatment.
even if they refuse treatment. At least they had been through the process themselves. A licensed physician has seen that person and made that call.
So there you go, sounds like y'all got to figure that right there. If you take them out to the hospital, they refuse treatment, sounds like Logan Moore is still giving you some type of documentation. And you bring it back to the jail for jail time.
And depending on their situation, we may refuse them twice and ask them to take them to a different hospital, as we did here. We took them to another hospital, and they're there today. That's the point I'm trying to make. This person needed medical attention.
And I completely get that, and I think they're doing the right thing, don't get me wrong. But I also think we're doing the wrong thing when we're letting people who are obviously intoxicated out on the street.
I agree.
Now, if we were letting them into the care and control of a relative or whatever, but to take that person and unhandcuff them and open the door.
Right.
I think we're doing an injustice to that individual.
Right.
Definitely our community.
Right.
Okay, I want to say that stop.
Oh, we do too. I mean, that's the issue that we
What are you
have.
going to do? Y'all worry about liability. What are you going to do when that person jumps in a car and kills themselves or somebody else?
I agree.
Who do you think they're going to come at?
Well, if the
They're
jail
gonna come
refuses
after
to
us
take
because we didn't take
them, that's
care.
right, the county, the jail, the sheriff, or the county.
Just because you let them go, they release you from your liability.
Oh, I agree
You should
totally.
never let an intoxicated person back out on the street. That doesn't seem
I totally agree, and that's why we're here today.
smart.
Was this just an oddball situation, or was this happens, I mean, how often does something like this happen?
It happened over the weekend. Not with this agency, but another.
Well, no, I'm talking about, just a refusal, and then they just get released back out. Like with the citation.
I don't have any numbers on that. It's something that we don't release them.
In other words, if people get real smart and begin to drink, then all they gotta do is just refuse every test and be turned loose again in about 2 or 3 hours.
You know, they could,
We
they
stopped the
could,
guy the other night for DUI, and the first thing he said was, you can't do nothing to me, the jail won't take me. Well, we don't know that yet, sir, we have a process, and the jail took him. So, but the public knows, if we stop people for speeding, state police stopped the guy the other day for speeding, he had a warrant. That was the only thing that came out of the traffic stop, other than he stopped him for speeding. We have to issue a court case, the jail won't take him.
well, it's not that the jail won't take them. I think the Supreme Court judge, Kentucky State Supreme Court judge had some
It
input
said
on that.
that the jails will accept new arrests. We understand if we were trying to go and serve a warrant, just like we normally do when we're in normal times. Absolutely, we're not doing that. The thing is, you stop somebody for speeding, and they have a felony warrant or any type of warrant, you know, we can't take them to jail.
Is that a warrant in that situation? Is that a warrant for arrest?
Yes,
So you don't arrest them? There's a issue.
the jail won't take them.
You don't arrest them.
The jail won't take them.
I had one last night with 4 warrants.
Yeah,
And you don't arrest them. Man, that's gotta stop.
I agree.
You talk about liability, that's liability. What happens if that person, that's gonna look bad on Logan County. If that person goes out and does something stupid, causes harm to our community. And what's our excuse gonna be? We didn't take arrest them because the jail didn't have them.
What are we supposed to do with
That
that?
don't look good.
What are you supposed to do with them then? Nobody wants to answer that question.
Surely we can work through it and figure it out.
Well, we have a jail, another jail in another county that's willing to take people.
We have a Logan County
I agree totally.
that we fund.
Right.
We should work through the Logan County.
And we would much rather do that.
I think what I think, I guess the law had to be changed or in order to be added. I think if you took them to the hospital and they refuse it, then I think the field should have to take them back to the jail. But I think it should be in that process, if something happens to him in the jail, then he's not liable, it's not his fault.
I'd say that's probably true.
You know, because you got to put, you know, I don't want, my colleagues don't want to turn them out in the street.
Yes.
I can't imagine a judge doing that.
But the thing that Phil is doing correct, guys, is he is requiring all these steps. If he didn't, then that does show neglect on our part. It's not Phil, it's Logan County Fiscal Court, okay? We're all in this together.
Oh, I agree.
So when he does that, and they refuse medical treatment, and they do come back, and something seriously happens to me, at least you all student doctors, we tried everything. We took them, they refused treatment, and they have the right to do that.
Right.
What's going to look bad if you didn't do that?
Right.
And
And we do that, so I mean, we've got all the bases covered, honestly. So, you know, we just need to know the next step, you know. If, I understand Phil doesn't want to take them, but we don't know what to do if they don't take them.
It's not that I don't want to take them. I'm just going through the KRSs and KARs and Kentucky jail standards. And I don't want anybody to die in jail. And that's it. So I guess what we're talking about, rather than this one particular case, the fiscal court to approve this policy or not, that KCO has recommended.
I mean, I don't see anything extravagant about the policy that KCO is recommending that would be just not, you know, feasible. But I think we got a bigger problem here than policy. I mean, adding to a policy, we can add to policy here and there. And I'll be honest with you, you know, since the public heard jailer disappointed magistrates for not approving policy. So I got several phone calls from law enforcement officers, and they find it difficult. They have anxiety about whether they're going to be accepted to jail or not. So, and I'm thinking, well, Phil probably doesn't know that. Phil is operating an entire jail. He can't micromanage what's going on day and night. I said, Phil needs to know that. So I feel like I don't want fiscal court to create a bigger gap between law enforcement and the jail, because we're all on the same team. We're here to protect our people in this county, and people that are breaking the law, they need to go to jail if they're breaking the law, and we need to get them off the street. I just don't want to create a larger gap between the relationship between law enforcement and the jail until there's some common ground met. And I know that leadership from all agencies can do that. Y'all are proving your leadership. Phil's proving his leadership. Sheriff Stratton, you're proving leadership. Y'all can figure this out. Y'all are great elected officials, and y'all can figure this out. So, but at this time, I don't want to create a larger gap until there's some issues resolved between agencies. I just, I don't want the jail to be anxious about things that are happening from law enforcement. I don't want law enforcement to have extra anxiety on them when they're out, protecting our public. So that's just my take today. And I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. I just think we got some other issues. The agencies have issues to work out, and I don't want to cause a larger gap between those agencies until some things are figured out. That's my take.
So let me ask you this on the policy. I'm not sure where you are with it. But a woman in labor, should we accept those people in the jail?
Do you today?
No. Okay.
If somebody came today before this policy was passed, would you?
Okay. Unconscious or semi-unconscious?
Has that happened?
This is the policy.
I'm saying has it happened? Y'all are common sense.
Yes.
They have common sense, you have common sense. That's what Tom
Let
was
me go
talking
through the
about the
list if you
last.
don't mind.
Okay, go right ahead.
Exhibiting fever of 100.4. That's COVID-19. Should we accept it?
Today, no.
Okay. Extreme severe intoxication resulting 2.8 or higher. Should we take it?
No, today is at
That is
.30.
a,
And I'm answering no to all those, but I guess it would depend on the charge. I mean, I'm assuming somebody's been arrested for attempted murder that we would not want to
Okay.
talk about.
pregnant female that admits using illegal drugs. I had one in just the other day, 8 months pregnant, was on her way to rehab, thought she would just take all the drugs they could and brought them to jail. Should we take that person without going to the hospital? Display signs and symptoms of being mentally unstable. Garbled speech, erratic behavior. For the CAECO, we should have them medically cleared. Exhibiting signs of alcohol and drug withdrawals. This is, as it was meant, these are CAECO recommendations, and they have a team of experts that look at this stuff.
But your staff would not accept these people today, right, before the policy? Like if you had somebody come in and...
Current policy, that's the reason I've added it to the current policy. So you all agree that all those things that I just mentioned would not be acceptable to accept in jail without getting medical clearance.
Well, not too long back, we were discussing this, and as I said then, we got a lot of frustration between the two entities.
Just,
And I think that we really y'all got together and worked on an entry policy that the jail has, and the jail and the sheriff's department. And I can't see adding on anything to what we've got right now, because we're totally confused with it.
what about chest pains, shortness of breath? Should we accept them or send them to get them medically cleared? I say we send them to get them medically cleared and follow the CAECO guidelines.
But you can send them and get them medically cleared today. I'm not saying it shouldn't be added eventually, but you can do that today. I mean, you've read KRS before us saying that the jailer has the right to refuse to accept any inmate that he wants
It
to.
is not in our current policy, that's why I'm asking the court to approve it. These are CAECO guidelines, and what I just mentioned to you all seem to agree that they need to get medical attention before they're lodged in the jail.
You can call the ambulance anytime though and send any inmate to the hospital, right?
We can. So can
if
the
you-
arresting agency. So can the arresting agency.
No, I'm talking about somebody you already got in the jail.
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
right now.
We did that over the weekend.
Can I say something, just real quick? With us being dispatched, we're right in the middle of all of this. I mean, we're right in the middle, whether we want to be or not. We are at the point now, when an officer goes to arrest someone, they ask us, can you call the jail to see if they will lodge them? The jail's not allowed to speak with us about it. They have to talk to the arresting officer. Our job is officer safety. I've got a unit on the side of the road with somebody who needs to be arrested, and they will not talk to me about it. It puts us right in the middle. And as for if it's a chest pain or anything like that, officers will ask us, can you send me EMS to check this person out? I mean, it is a big wedge, because the officers are getting upset and sometimes, why fool with it if it's going to be a big little deal? I called the other night because we have somebody that's got warrants out of another state. Okay, why should I send an officer out there risking his life to serve a warrant if they're not able to lodge him? However, they will not even talk to my dispatchers about it. And I mean, we're not stupid. We know how to do our job. Our job is to keep them safe and send them home every night. If they ask us to do something, we need to be able to do it. And as y'all tell, it irritates me. Because it makes us feel like that whatever we say, which we know why they're being arrested. You know, if they call us for EMS, we know that they're being medically cleared. We know as much about who they're arresting as they do.
And that's fine. I'm not saying you don't, but sometimes it's lost in translation, like musical chairs. We'd rather hear it directly from the officer so we can communicate with the officer and ask specific questions. Not saying that you're not doing a good job, just trying to keep you out of it. And that way we can have a direct line of communication with the arresting officer.
But our job as dispatchers is to do that for the officers.
Okay.
If they call us and want us to check if somebody could be lodged, I think we should be able to do that.
Okay.
I think y'all need to get together and try to work out something. You're not taking any of these patients that you discussed, but we cannot turn someone out on the road that needs to be lodged. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. The officer is not a medical team. If he can't get somebody, if they will not refuse treatment, you have a medical staff. You do not have an emergency room.
12 hours worth.
You have an emergency. You do not have an emergency room. You have a medical staff, and you have a way to monitor
Okay.
them.
Then let us spend about $300,000 more a year and make it an emergency room. And let's get us more medical staff instead of 12 hours a day. Let's do it for 24 hours a day. Logan and I met with Commissioner, and he said we had about half of the medical staff that we needed. You remember that meeting up in Bowling Green?
I didn't hear everything you said.
You and I met with Kirsty and the Commissioner,
Yeah,
and he said we had about half the staff we needed for the medical. So if you want to turn the jail into a emergency room, we can do that, but it's going to cost you. And I don't know that that's a bad idea.
It's gonna cost one way or another. It's either gonna cost somebody that lodge, or it's gonna cost money to move forward.
But
Well, I
there's
think
no
we need-
sense of them having to make a reservation to carry an inmate to that facility.
Well, here, today, I thought we were here to talk about this policy.
This
Do you
policy
disagree
is
with
putting
me?
a roadblock in intakes.
I don't see how. You just admitted that all these listed in this policy was acceptable not to have.
Under certain conditions. This lady, this person right here should have been arrested and put in jail. This individual right here should have been put in jail.
And if they'd have taken them and cleared them, they would have been.
And so that's just where we need to be. Nobody's wanting to increase the jail, medical expense for 100,000, whatever the number we're talking about. I mean, I think these are reasonable guidelines that, we all should be mindful that we're just trying to accomplish two things. First is to see after the care, the person being detained, and see after the care like we do, and make sure that they're not a hazard to themselves or the public. So, yes, in principle, everything on this list, I have no problem. I think it makes sense. But we're back to that situation on the what if scenario that they deny seeking medical treatment. We have just discussed what the procedure would be. We're going to take them out there.
We do that, we do that now.
Just continue to do it. And that way you can bring them back to the field, say, Phil, or Sheriff Gregory, we took them to medical, or took them to seek medical treatment, they denied it, here's a piece of paper, or here's a video, whichever you get, and at least Phil has that. So he can prove that it was done. And then when Phil receives them and goes through his checkpoint, if he's in disagreement with it, then he can call the ambulance and have the ambulance pick them up. Okay?
That's all.
We do not need to be putting these people in the street. Likewise, we don't need to take a person who is in labor in the jail either. He's not a delivery service. I think that's reasonable. Now, yes, there's always exceptions to the rule, and as we read this, I don't think anybody would say somebody who was arrested for attempted murder who's experiencing chest pains is going to be denied entry into the jail. That is unreasonable. Nobody in this room would say, yeah, that's a routine policy. So there are exceptions, This doesn't say that, but I'm assuming Bill's staff would assume that, hey, this is a serious crime, this is a serious offense. There's 14 warrants for his arrest. We're still going to take it. This is the exception to the rule. But at least the jail's covering their back. The sheriff's is covering their back. We took them, and they denied. If they get to the jail sees they're going south, going the wrong way, then the jail is all ambulance. And if the ambulance stays. And I think that's what we should do, not increase staff, not increase, 24-hour emergency care, we're not trying to turn that, jail into a, emergency room situation.
That's exactly what happened this weekend, is step by step what you just said. That's why one's in the medical center right now with a guard sitting up there with them. That's exactly right. I said, step by step, what Thomas laid out is exactly what happened this weekend. Step by step. They took them to the emergency room here. They brought them back with paperwork saying clear to lodge. Person was about the same or got worse. We called an ambulance. They took them to the medical center. And with a guard, 2 guards, matter of fact, had to travel up there, but 1 there now. And they're admitted to the Bowling Green Medical Center. And they're still there. So that person needed medical attention. So that's exactly, step by step, what you said is exactly what happened.
And we didn't have this policy in place this weekend, but it took care of it. Common sense took care of it.
Yeah, but you need to have a policy before you can to back you up on everything.
This thing is documented at 2018. The bottom of this thing is 2018. We're in 2020.
So what part of that do you disagree with?
I don't disagree with any of it. It just puts roadblocks and it makes it difficult for the agencies.
Roadblocks. What part of the policy do you disagree with?
If y'all can't agree, the judge turned them loose. I don't know why a judge put all of them back to jail. Like I said, then you'd have to take them, and then something happened. You're not liable.
I agree. I just want to know what part of the policy someone here in this room today does not agree with.
But the sheriff, Mr. Cal, the jail may not be liable as far as the department, but the county's liable if they pull them over and arrest them. Okay, so, had that purpose, this happened apparently, if I'm reading this right, on May 14th, okay? So it wasn't last week, but if that person had done something stupid and got hurt, we could be liable, okay?
Exactly.
Maybe the jail's department that was liable, but it's going to be Logan County that's going to be liable because he was under the care and control of the sheriff's department, okay? So one department or the other, take your pick, and don't think for 1 minute they're going to make the judge liable because he released them, because that just ain't going to happen.
Now, I understand, but when the judge released them, you think they had a right to kill somebody, we'd still be sued then?
Absolutely.
Of course, it may be sued, but
Absolutely. We sure would.
what did it hold up?
Doesn't matter that the judge let them know, they could have said, hey, you should have done something, you got somebody highly intoxicated, and you just uncuffed them and told them to go and let them out. I mean, they could have got hit by a car across the street, far as we know. And there's a lot of what ifs. We just need to have reasonable policies in place. It sounds like we've made some headway, but, we've made some reasonable headway. We do need to address the situation that somebody pulls somebody over and can't pull arrest them. They got full arrest. I mean, you can be arrested.
I think something was said about that at the Supreme Court justice. That wasn't, Thomas, that wasn't a local decision. There was a decision made, you know, back when this COVID started, the judge wrote. I think it excluded, you know, people being served with warrants.
Well, they didn't serve a warrant. They didn't serve a warrant. They pulled somebody over for breaking some type of law, might have been a busted tail law. But when they pulled them over, there was 4 arrest warrants for them. They should.
I don't know how that falls in the equation.
They weren't serving a warrant.
Yeah.
They pulled somebody over. May have just been a traffic violation. But if there's 4 arrest warrants for you, you should be arrested. COVID-19 shouldn't be an exempt card for that, you know. I don't understand why we're not arresting those people. Obviously, the court of Kentucky, or maybe even another state, wanted, about liability. Man, what's going to happen if we keep on turning our nose up to these people and just letting them go and they find out, hey, sheriff department pulled this guy over and let him go. Why'd you let him go? Well, we let him go because our local jail wouldn't take him. I just don't see that being a good excuse. I don't care what they're.
It's not a good excuse, and we would have taken this individual had they went and got cleared by a licensed physician spelled out in the statutes.
Absolutely. I have no problem with that. I'll just need to follow the policy.
So where are we on this, approving this policy?
I have no problem with this policy.
If they arrest someone who's, when they bring them in, if you can tell they're not on drugs or alcohol anymore, then you don't have to send it out.
Right.
You can go and take it, right?
I agree with the jail should be the dumping ground. For
Yes.
them to begin. The law enforcement, whatever department it is, pull these people over and they're showing signs that they need medical treatment, not incarceration. The law enforcement system medical treatment.
Right.
Okay? I'm assuming there are times that they don't even come and that they straight to the hospital. You know, it's obvious. They call EMS on the spot. Okay? So we know they are doing that. We just need to make sure that, you know, if they're brought to your facility and they're displaying these signs, that it's not unreasonable to ask law enforcement to take them to get medically checked.
And we need to make for sure they need to be going to the hospital, because when they go to the hospital and if there's nothing wrong, that's on the taxpayer. Taxpayers is flipping that bill.
I think that's what common sense.
Yeah.
Rise, if somebody claims to be having a heart attack and they're not, and what do you do?
Okay, where we at?
The air not working?
No, I don't think so.
So I guess I'm a little bit confused. Did we not vote on this last?
We tabled it. I made a motion to table it.
Oh, yeah.
I made a motion to table it.
I'm sorry.
That was 2 court meetings ago, not the special one, 2 court meetings ago.
So let's just deal with it. I make a motion to accept this policy amendment for intake procedures for the jail, as presented by Judge Gregory. Still, it doesn't matter to me. We got to change the motion.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
I say.
Okay, we got a second.
Again, we just encourage all departments to be working together. Again, we're in this, protect our citizens. And I need to keep that in mind at all times, and also to protect the people who are being retained. We know that for human decency to everybody. And we're all going to disagree at some point and some time, but this cannot be a power struggle.
We just have to work together and sit down and talk. And I think that would be talking about common ground discussions going on. I'm not so sure it would be a good idea that the judge for all three departments and anybody else that may be involved, sit down, let's hash out some differences that we've got. Nothing wrong with that. It's not personal. It's just business, and let's work things out so they don't come to a head or where somebody's going to end up getting hurt one of these days, no matter which side ends up being right or wrong. Logan County is going to lose at some point if we keep on making bad decisions.
I think whether we approve this or not, this isn't the issue. I think what we discussed this morning, I think that's the issue. And I hopefully, like Thomas has said, that we can, the departments can work through it and we can make progress.
Well, I'm confused because that sounds like there's an issue between departments. There's not an issue between departments.
Well, I'm certain that there's not, but the difference is in how we're handling things. Y'all should be able, as elected officials,
Right, I agree with that.
have a meeting.
That's what today is clarification. I support any policy
Y'all don't have to come up with a rule to work those differences out.
I didn't mean issues between the departments. I just, you know.
No reason that y'all work together every single day. Y'all should be sitting down, having lunch, and working this out. And it's your responsibility to communicate with your staff, and it's Phil's responsibility to communicate with his staff. He is responsible for the culture of his staff. So, and we should be working together, trying to fix that, and make it work.
Okay, any other comments?
KRS makes all kinds of recommendations. They're an insurance provider. We go
Take-home.
through Department of Corrections audits, and they have not wrote any of this up. Phil's been doing an outstanding job. He did this weekend. We did not have this policy in play, and I am not going to vote for it until we get some common ground to what happens when you can't take people. There's no sense being denying people for some of this stuff. Nobody, there's so much stuff in here that all the public's got to do is look at this, and they don't have to go to jail because they can fake some of that. There's no way to carry them to jail.
I would say that a pregnant woman who's on drugs, you know they're pregnant or not.
Well, I think you probably could, and you take care of that. We've had this policy in place for 5 years. We have had no issues, and you've done an outstanding job. Why we want to mess with it?
Because of the liability issue. That's what it's all about.
When you do your job, there is no liability issue.
I need a policy to back it up.
Well, tabling it for 2 weeks, as bad as you made us sound in the paper, was not a negative thing, because I think a lot's come out today. I still think you're doing an outstanding job. When anyone is called to do a job, they have to go do the job and then take care of whatever condition the person is in. And I don't want to sound this, but your grandson gets a call to respond to a wreck, he is not going to go check their temperature before he takes care of them. Because I know your grandson's an outstanding young man.
Point being, he's out in the open. We're in a concrete box with little or no ventilation. And these are not something I came up with on my own.
They're recommendations. They are not mandatory. They're recommendations. KRS is mandatory, correct?
And
KRS is mandatory.
Right, look them up.
I
What does
did.
it tell you?
I have been.
What does it tell you?
A medical,
We ain't got it.
medical emergency, I believe is what,
Okay. This COVID-19 has thrown everybody into a panic right now, but it's not going to disappear. I'm afraid to say that, but it's showing up in places that we can't help.
And I would just cite that just 30, 40 miles down the road, in Greenville Correctional Facility, they're eat up with it on the inside. They are eat up with it. The staff and everybody is eat up with it. And now the
Don't
correctional
commit the
facility-
crime and go there.
What's that?
Don't commit the crime.
Well, now, if you don't like
The
it
people in
jail,
the
don't
nursing
commit
home,
crime. I understand
the
all
people
that.
in the nursing home got it, and they were treated. I mean, they knew nothing wrong.
Well, I'm gonna do my best, Barry, to keep it out of Logan County Detention Center.
I know you are. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to put a policy in play for you to do that.
I gotta have a policy to back it up. I just can't make these decisions without a policy. And you agree that pregnant people shouldn't be coming to jail, women in labor shouldn't be coming to jail. I just want you to agree to that policy.
I hate to read the policy out here for the public to know, but there's so many things in this thing that people can fake.
They can bluff it, but we'll see through it. Especially if they go get medical treatment.
At the taxpayer's expense. At the taxpayer's
How
expense.
expensive will it be to be sued?
You're going to make sure that that don't happen.
Well, I can do a lot of things, but I can't guarantee that. So I need a policy to help me with that. It's just that simple. It ain't nothing against any arresting agency. It's just that we need these policies in place. I'm not just shooting from the hip. It's CAECO recommendations, it's jail policy, it's Kentucky state standards. Even the Supreme Court judge of Kentucky have made these recommendations. So I don't know how you can argue with that.
Okay, any more questions, comments? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
No.
Crosley,
We need to adjust our own, especially the ethics policy. No.
Wright,
No.
Harper,
No.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes.
Judge, we'll get our 5 minute break.
Yeah.
We'll take a break.
whenever Tyler gets us turned on. Okay, we're back in order. Number one, we never did get the corrected contract, so we'll just put that off to the next court meeting on the labor crew. Number two, approve the surplus and delete from inventory a list from the sheriff department.
The
I think
surplus.
y'all got a copy of that, so if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
On the,
We just need a motion.
Well, we need a motion, say the surplus and delete from inventory.
so we skipping number one? I missed that part. Are we skipping number one, Barry?
On all of it.
I
I
missed
think
that.
he said something about they didn't have all the paperwork.
Okay.
He's gonna
I missed that
postpone it
part.
to the next meeting, I think.
Sorry, I missed that.
Item one, you said you're gonna postpone to the next meeting.
Okay.
I make the motion to approve the surplus and delete from the inventory list of the sheriff's department as presented.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second, surplus and delete the items listed. Any questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, next item of business is retract order number 15 on June the 9th fiscal court meeting. And Thomas, you made the motion and Tyler seconded. And what it is, we went ahead and purchased those heart monitors,
Okay.
but there's no way in the world we know when we turn in for. Okay, what we turned down the carrier's money. Final, either one, unless we purchase. There's not a sure thing, but there is several pair of dollars out there that we're gonna be able to recoup. But we couldn't do it without, so we need to retract that motion, then we need to make a motion with just the service.
Okay, this is a little bit confused. You just want me to retract order number 15 for now, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Put that put on the promotion to retract order number 15 from,
June 9th.
6-9.
Second.
Okay. Okay, is there any questions on why? We can't turn anything in we haven't paid for.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we can vote on this and I'll ask, what do we do? What's our next step then?
Our next step is to make a new motion that I've got here.
Okay, okay.
Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
yes.
Chick,
Yes. Okay, now we need to make a new motion.
You had that motion written out?
Well, you should have it there.
Oh.
just
so
got
will
the
be
yellow.
everything but that bottom part.
Oh, everything but the bottom part that's highlighted.
I make a motion to accept the one-year agreement with Comcare to provide ALS ambulance service for fiscal year 2020-2021 to begin July 1, 2020, and end on June 30th, 2021, at a cost of $190,700 to be paid in monthly payments of $15,891.67.
Second.
Okay, Thomas, did that figure didn't cover the monitors though? That 15,891 does
No,
not
that-
cover the monitors?
That wasn't counting it.
It's not included.
Okay, so now are we leasing them or are we gonna try to?
We paid for them and bills this month.
Okay,
We're hoping the carrier grant pays the price.
I'm with you now, okay. Okay,
And I can't promise that, but we can't turn them in if we haven't paid for them.
see, we have, okay, I just knew that that wasn't included in there and that we needed them. So I'm good.
So an executive order due to COVID, you was able, you purchased them, right? Yeah.
Okay, everybody understand what we're doing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, the next item of business, so I passed out the administrative code. Did any of you look at it? Want to make any changes in it at this time?
I looked at it last night.
I know last year we went through it pretty thorough.
Yeah.
We need a motion to keep it same or what?
If there's no changes, I don't know where to make a motion. That I'm aware of, is it, Joe? No reason to even make a motion if there's no changes on this administrative code, is it?
He is legally obligated to give that to you all once a year, so we could make changes at some point in the future if you all saw fit, but I think the purpose of having it on this meeting is just to get that requirement so that you all can update it if you find things you see.
I guess the only thing I would suggest that we do is document Ben's, the last page of revision where 2016 was ever just updated to take out the lines and the X's and the stuff that we did take out just so it's clear. Somebody might see that and not understand why.
Oh, okay.
All this is double underline and all this other line to it. Once it's passed and I've been agreed on, we should have a working document that doesn't have all those prior changes. Very minor thing.
I think that's,
Okay, Joe, did you hear that?
I think that's probably just an office cleanup. I mean, like,
I don't know that you all would have to make a formal motion to have that accomplished.
Okay.
No, I wasn't saying that part of the motion, I'm just saying that we should just clear this document up, all out. Go on page
6 or 5.
3 there.
Oh, wait, no.
It's got all the strikeouts and revisions, the date that it happened. Like we took out all the C's, so it goes to A, B, and D.
I don't know if that has to involve me, but I think it does make sense to clean it up after it's been adopted that way.
So I make a motion to accept it as presented with no changes made.
Okay, got a motion and a second, just to approve the administrative code with no changes made. Is there any question? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper, Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, next item of business is to approve a list of budget changes that's needed. General Fund, change expenditure code 01-5140303. Contract ambulance service from $190,000 to $190,700 with a $700 increase to reflect the new contract for fiscal year 2021. Next item of business, change revenue code 014901, prior year carryover from $700,000 to $800,000, an increase of $100,000 to reflect anticipated carryover for fiscal year 2021. Paying the bills at the end last week, was able to get a handle on that. Change revenue code 024901, prior year carryover from Road Department, from $425,000 to $475, an increase of $50,000 to reflect anticipated carryover for 2021. The next item of business, change revenue code 034901, prior year carryover from $150,000 to $129,450, a decrease of $20,550 to reflect anticipated carryover on fiscal year 2021. And solid waste recycling, delete expenditure code 1352123668. It's a 2020 waste tire grant at $2367 from the budget. Grant has been fully expended. The next item in that budget is renumber expenditure code 1352123668. Waste tire grant 1352123668. The next thing in that fund is delete expenditure code 135217446, recycling equipment grant at $543 from budget. Grant has been fully expended. All funds, adjust contingent appropriation, transfers in, transfers out, fund subtotals and fund totals where necessary to balance the budget for fiscal year 2021. And in doing that, it will affect some transfers, but it looked like the contingent appropriation and occupational tax this coming year will be $374,287 with these figures all in.
I make a motion to approve the budget changes as presented.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and second to approve the budget changes. Any questions?
Judd, I want to say I appreciate all y'all's work and all your office staff. I know you've been under a lot of extra stress lately.
Oh, we've been under quite a bit.
I know it's been tough, so, but appreciate everything y'all do at the office down there, so every one of them.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, I think we've got one post agenda item that I was asked about.
Yeah, there's a spay neuter grant available, and it's through the Kentucky Animal Control Advisory Board. Each humane society or each dog kennel or whatever can ask for up to $2,500. And so I was just going to bring it up before the court, and it's a matching. The match is not required, but preference will be given to applicants offering more matching dollars. So I just was going to bring it up to the court and see if we wanted to match a certain number, what the dollar amount we wanted to do, up to $2,500, or if we wanted to go here.
No, I think the best thing we can do for animal control is spay and neuter, and it's better for, less animals running around suffering and less population in our facility. So I'd say the full $2,500 match would be my recommendation. And I'll put it in form of a motion.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second to provide a $2,500 match through a grant application going to Department of Agriculture, I think where it comes from, for a spay and neuter grant. Any questions? Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Wright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick.
Yes. Okay, Jan, did you have anything else to report? You wasn't here when we done department heads.
report being on Monday just really messed me up, so I'm sorry guys for being late. I had talked to Logan on Wednesday afternoon. We had a major equipment crash Wednesday afternoon, and I'm waiting on a quote. It's our recording system, and he had asked me to write a letter about it being a state of emergency because we don't have time to put it through the bidding process and all that. But what it is it's my recorder that records all the radio traffic, all the phone calls and everything. The phone recorder has a backup on it, of course, it records on the phone, but the radio traffic right now is not being recorded. And the company that I have been with, that we have actually been with since 1999, has contacted EEI, that's their local partners. And so I talked to Troy on Friday and got with him, and he's supposed to be getting me a quote to get it fixed. And I can't give y'all even a ballpark
You
figure.
don't need no ballpark figure.
No, but it's something, we had no forewarning that there was anything wrong with it. We just got an alarm, and I went in there, and it had the blue screen of death, and it was no reviving it. So I'm just waiting to see what I find out from that, and he hadn't gotten anything to me yet this morning.
This is something totally separate from the system we're
Yes.
waiting on, okay.
Our equipment down there, it's like, I mean, of course, we have so many different things that have to work together, and this is one that we had upgraded in 2010. And they had, we've done a few minor upgrades since then, but the last major upgrade was in 2010. So, but hopefully.
Is it just a computer that, like, the audio patches through and it records it?
Yes.
It shouldn't, I mean, I wouldn't think it would be
I think
extravagant
it's the
amount.
hard drive, and if they can, I told them if they can repair it, just give me a quote on what we have to do to get it back running, because it scares me for it not to be.
Yeah, it needs to be going ASAP, don't it?
Yes, and and they know that, and that's why Troy's been working with me, so I'm hoping I'll get back down there and have something. But that's all I have.
Okay, appreciate it.
y'all.
Thank you.
That it? That's it. Motion to adjourn. I made it.
You want a second, and huh?
Okay, let's have roll call.
Davenport,
Yes.
Crossley, Bright,
Yes.
Harper,
Yes.
Kyle,
Yes.
Bolden,
Yes.
Chick,
Yeah.